Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the suffering servant passage. We're in Isaiah 51, and we're going to be looking at verses 17 through 20 today. The last 2 times we were together, the prophet, or the last 3 times, I should say, we are together. The prophet has called upon God to come and save. God has responded, and now the prophet is calling out to the people to wake up because it's time for them to be saved. And between verse 17 and chapter 52, verse 6, he's going to say multiple times, "Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up." And it's a continual message that this is a new day. You need to see this clearly. It kind of reminds me of the angel rescuing Peter from jail. And he was so hard to wake up that the angel had to strike him. To get him to wake up. Which is a wonderful story in itself because it was on the eve of his execution, and yet he was at such peace that he was sleeping, chained up between two watchmen. And they have to wake up. Their long nightmare is about to end. So let's read verses 17 through 20 of chapter 51. Rouse yourself, get up, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk from the Lord's hand the cup of his anger, the chalice of reeling you have drained to the dregs. There is none to guide her among all the sons she has borne, nor is there one to take her by the hand among the sons she has reared. These two things have befallen you. Who will mourn for you? The devastation and destruction, famine and sword. How shall I comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie helpless at the head of every street, like an antelope in a net, full of wrath of the Lord, the rebuke of your God. There's going to be a therefore and another wake up in the ensuing verses, but let's stop here for just a minute and look at this beginning section of the wake up section. Rouse yourself, get up. You have finished drinking the cup of the Lord's anger. You've drunk it to its dregs. This reminds them that they are in Babylonian captivity because of their own sin. They are in Babylonian captivity not because of the might of Babylon, but because it's part of God's plan. It was necessary for things to happen this way in order that they would be a people who could come home and rebuild and be ready for the coming of the servant that God is going to send. And so that's at the beginning. That's the first thing that he establishes. You're not in Babylonian captivity because the Babylonians are a superior people. You're in Babylonian captivity because I'm working my will, and that's how I did it. You're there for your sins and for me to cure you of those sins, which he did. They did not come back an idolatrous people, not in a traditional sense. They made an idol of the law. They made an idol of money. They made an idol of the way we continue to be idolatrous. But I mean, none of us, I don't think anyone joining me today is offering, animal sacrifices to some ancient deity or some statue somewhere. He got rid of that superstition in them when they were in Babylonian captivity. Now, the second point he's going to make, which he makes over and over again, which sounds like a bummer, you know, like he's harshing, he's buzzing their joy or something, is that they don't have anyone to lead them. And of course, we can think of some names of people who were leaders in the community while they were there, Daniel, Esther, but these people participated in the life of Babylon. They were good examples, but neither of or Mordecai, they none of them. Esther and Mordecai helped the people raise up to defend themselves, but in terms of being a long-term leader, like David, or even like Samuel or Deborah, one of the judges, no one really filled that role. And they don't have anybody to really fill it. They have Zerubbabel to be their governor. They have Joshua to be their high priest. They have Ezra and Nehemiah to be there to help lead them on some public building projects. But they don't really have a king anymore, someone to rule them, which when they first went to the promised land, they didn't have a king either. I mean, go back and read the books of Moses. That's not the system God established for their governance. They had their religion. They had their covenantal religion with God. God was their king. And that's the point he's trying to make. You know, um, I'm the one. You don't have anybody else. You're a sinful people who have suffered enslavement, and now you're about to go and rebuild. The person you need to lead you does not exist among your numbers. That person does not exist, but I'm here. Okay, we'll pick up with verse 21 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.